Good afternoon. I will, as Assistant Secretary, call this meeting to order, and our first action of order is to select a chairman pro tem. Do we have any volunteers?
I recommend Mrs. Salia.
Ms. Salyer?
I'll do that.
Thank you.
All right, well, it's 1 o'clock, so let's go ahead and call the January 28th meeting of the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority to order. I apologize, you didn't know I didn't have a voice when you suggested this job, so maybe we'll make short order of our business today. The first item on our agenda are items from the chairman, and I don't have any of those, so is there an update from any of our committee members on any of the authority committee activities? Kathy, anything? Paul? Larry? No? Brian? No? Pat?
We'll have B on the update on MAPS 3, and I think everybody will hear later on in the agenda.
Great. Okay, well then we'll move on to item B on the MAPS 3 River Subcommittee activities. Any reports there?
Right, that's the one that will be coming up.
That's coming up. Okay, great. So the next order of business then, item 3, is to approve the minutes of the December 17th, 2013 meeting. They were all circulated. Second. All in favor? Oh, do I do this? You do that for me? Okay, if everybody cast your votes, that passes unanimously. Moving on to the consent docket, we have the sand mining and oil and gas revenue report to receive and the river corridor updates.
Move approval of both items.
Second.
Second. All in favor, please cast your votes. Thank you very much. Certainly.
What the trend is. And then I have a question. Where do these revenues go? Do they go to the River Trust, be administered for river projects, or do they go into the general fund?
I see nodding. I believe they go to the River Trust. Pat, would you come address that for us?
The revenues that are generated within the River Trust remain within the trust at the discretion of the trustees.
Thank you, ma'am.
So Pat, does that lead me to say at the discretion of the trustees, if we had a project or something we needed to do, those funds could be redirected some other way?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All righty. Do we need a motion to accept those reports? We did that already? Okay, great. So moving on to item 5, which is our primary agenda items. The first is to receive the Oklahoma River Maintenance Projects update. Dennis, are you going to handle that?
Yes, Paul Bonson from Assistant Public Works Director is going to provide that update.
Good afternoon, everyone. There are 4 items on this month's report. Number 1 is a brief update on our hydraulic cylinder purchase. I'm happy to report that at the end of last week, actually it was the end of the week prior to last week, we received our first cylinders, and here's a picture of these currently stored out at our central maintenance facility. These are what we call the drain and fill gate cylinders, and these are the cylinders that operate on the upstream and the downstream side of the lock that allow the lock to open and fill, and once it's filled, then the boat goes in, and when the boat leaves, then the ones on the downstream side open and they drain the lock. So we've got a complete set of those that have been delivered. I spoke with the vendor yesterday, and probably later today or tomorrow he's going to be delivering what we call the miter gate cylinders. Those are, in the whole scheme of things, they're kind of the short stubby cylinders that actually operate the gates on the lock. We've ordered a complete set of those. Those will be in-house at the latest by the end of the week, and we're anticipating by this time next month we will have the big crest gate cylinders that are interchangeable both for the Brum lock, the Brum dam, and the May Dam in-house, and what our plan is to not even have those delivered to central maintenance. Once those are ready for installation, we're going to coordinate with our crane, and we're going to have the vendors show up on site and immediately replace at least 4 of the 6 on the Brum Dam that need to be replaced. And then once those leave the truck, we'll take the old ones off the dam, put those back on the truck, send those immediately back to the vendor for refurbishment. So we're just going to interchange them as we go. They are currently fabricating the big crest gate cylinders for the eastern dam, and those are still probably a couple months out from fabrication completion, but we've been on site and seeing some of the work they're doing, and that work is progressing really well. Item number 2 is the Canal Zone G extension. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of update on this. When I spoke with Mr. Winger prior to coming over, he said that this is still very much in the hands of our legal department with us and the railroad. So again, they are making what I'd call slow progress on getting this agreement finalized. And it is our intent to have it done here probably in the next 60 days. Item number 3 is the Meridian Landing. The update I got from staff says that work is very, very near completion, to the point where the contractor and our inspection folks out in field services are going to schedule a preliminary meeting as early as next week to develop a punch list items that need to be completed, and then once those are completed, then they'll do the final inspection. So I would say we're probably within 90 days of completion of that project and having it being accepted by council. And the final item on your list, item number 4, is during the big flood event on 31st May, we sustained some damage to the stem wall on both the south end and the north end of the eastern dam, and we've gone ahead and issued an emergency contract, and we're taking advantage of the water in the eastern basin being down. Fortunately, the same contractor that is doing the Maps River upgrade was the low bidder on this, so he was already mobilized on site, and we got a fairly good price, and that work is really progressing, and it should be done here probably in the next 15 or 20 days. So, and these are just some pictures showing some of the work that's ongoing there at the eastern dam. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. If not, I'll request that the report be accepted as submitted.
Any of the trustees have any questions?
Move approval.
Second. Second. All those in favor, please cast your votes. And it passes unanimously. Or we received the report. We didn't need to pass it. We just said the report. Thank you very much. Jenny, we've got our quarterly river cruises update.
He's taller than I am. Good afternoon. The staff has completed scheduling for the 2014 season. Our ferry hours have been reduced by 25% to reduce costs and increase our riders per service hour. Our specialty cruises have been evaluated, and there are a few new offerings in the 2014 season. Okay. What am I doing wrong? Okay. Yeah, I love it. Thank you. Total ferry service riders for the year were up 15% in 2013 over 2012, despite the cancellations that occurred early in the season. May and June were the hardest hit with cancellations. Staff believes that as dam and lock maintenance progresses, these cancellations will see a marked decrease and we'll see some increased ridership. Specialty cruise ridership was up 9% over 2012. Charters were down just 2%. As marketing focus is being shifted to include more emphasis on charters in 2014, staff has already seen some improvement in charters. For the month of January, where we typically have none or 1 or 2 charters, we had 7 this past January. It's very encouraging. That's the little star up there on the chart. For River Romance, which takes place next month, we opened up 4 river cruisers back in December. They completely sold out. We opened up 4 more, and 2 of those have sold out, and we're not even into February yet. So we're seeing that as a very popular and a good revenue generator during a month when we don't have ferry service, so it helps support the system. March is a month for St. Patrick's Day. We've had some interest in that, though, of course, river levels will dictate whether we'll be able to conduct that one or not. These are the other specialty cruises we have planned. You can see the list there. There's 1 each month, beginning in May and running through October. For Sunset Cruises were the first specialty cruise ever offered by Oklahoma River Cruises back in 2008. We added the cruise and carriage, which includes a carriage ride through Bricktown last year. And this year, we're happy to say that we've commissioned ACM at UCO to provide live entertainment. Those will be the 3rd Friday of each month. The cruise and carriage will be the 4th Friday of each month, and the other Fridays will be the regular Sunset Cruise. For our ferry service extras, once again, Oklahoma History Center will be providing live historians to be historical reenactors on Saturday afternoons. Other ferry service attractions are shown here. It should be noted that sometime this summer, we will have our 100,000th passenger on Oklahoma River Cruises. We'll be tracking captain's logs very carefully to hopefully identify that individual with some sort of recognition. Our ferry service is scheduled to begin on April 2nd. And finally, Metro Transit is changing its name. Very soon it will be called Embark. Our boats are being outfitted with the new logo of Embark rather than Metro Transit. With Embark comes a new website that has a trip planning software where you can put in your destination, where you're starting from, where you're going to, and we're very happy to note that the ferry service will also be part of that trip planning. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Jeannie. Does anybody have any questions? Comments? Pretty impressive to have cruises in January and February. It's been a little chilly out there. Is there a motion, please, to receive the report?
So moved.
Great. Cast your votes, and that passes unanimously. Next, we have the Central Oklahoma Transportation Parking Authority Rules of Conduct and Transit Exclusion Policy and Procedures. Who is going to be presenting that?
Well, I see Rick Kane in the audience, and I also see his assistant director, Jason Fairbrush. Since Rick's a short-timer, maybe would one of you all like to come to the podium and give us a little briefing on this?
Sure, I'll be glad to tell you just a few quick little bits of information about this policy. Again, my name is Jason Fairbrush. I'm the Assistant Director for COTPA. And essentially, several months ago, our Board of Trustees adopted this policy. And really, the policy was designed just to kind of give our staff and our riders really some just clear expectations of, just some clear expectations of what is expected if you're going to use our service. And so really the policy just kind of formalizes a lot of the practices we already had in operations. One thing I will note is you'll notice that if someone is not actually complying with our policies and we temporarily suspend them from our service, there is an appeals process, and that is outlined in the policy as well, just to make sure that we are giving certainly everyone a fair chance to represent themselves. With that, I'll be glad to try to answer any other questions.
How do you determine, I mean, if someone's not following the policies and they're banned, how do you track that individual?
Well, so we have a person on staff, one of our customer service people, and they help us kind of keep track of any passengers that might be, violating the policy. And the policy is very clear in that it has basically a list of, prohibited behaviors, and it's categorized into different levels, a level 1, 2, and 3, and it's clearly spelled out in each one of those levels, what the consequences are. And then, again, we simply have a customer service person that kind of manages that process for us, contacts these individuals. We provide them letters and documentation, and obviously reach out to them. They're more than willing to come in and meet with us, and that's kind of how we handle that. We have a person on staff dedicated to it.
Jason, on page 3, where it's, and this is under item 5, where it talks about level 2, inappropriate conduct using transit services and facilities, one of the things it says you cannot do is drinking alcoholic beverages or possessing open containers. We just learned a lot about sunset cruises. How does that all work?
That's a really good point, and of course the policy was really written in the spirit of our bus service and the transit center. So my thought is we will probably need to make an amendment to our policy to exclude certain river cruises.
I think that would be a good idea. Let's make sure that
Thank you.
it comports with what we do on the boats. Any other questions or comments? I need a motion then to accept the report.
So moved.
Second. Thank you all. Motion is accepted. Our next item is to recommend staff forward final plans and specifications for Project M3R004, which is MAPS 3 Oklahoma River Phase 3 Whitewater Facility, for consideration by the MAPS 3 River Subcommittee and the MAPS Citizens Advisory Board.
Madam Chairman, you all have seen presentations on this at previous meetings, but the MAPS office is ready to take the final plans forward. This is, as you know, a very exciting project. So Jeffrey Guston with S2O, our consultant on this project, is here to make a short presentation on this.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here this afternoon. And before you ask, we do not have alcohol on the rivers in the Whitewater course.
Good thinking.
But when you're done, you can go to the bar and you're good. The presentation we have in front of you is pretty much the same presentation we delivered on December 17th as far as the visuals. The last 40 days have primarily been focused on completing the construction documents, submitting those to regulatory authorities, stakeholders, and starting the review process. So I'd like to kind of walk you through that a little bit, as well as kind of what the next couple steps are for us, and then give you time to ask any questions relative to the project. So, again, these are basically the renderings of the project we've shown before, looking again from 6th Street across the project. The overall site plan with the Whitewater course and the main building to the bottom left-hand corner, the rafting facility adjacent to that, and then to the far east being the kayak facility. Blow up of the main building, again, roughly about 17,000 square feet, capable or built for a 2-story expansion with about 12,000 square feet as a future phase on the 2nd floor. Another rendering looking back across the lower pond, and the building to the left is the rafting building, and then the one in the background is the main building. A look at the landscaping of the project. Again, deciduous trees along the southern boundary of the project. A lot of perennials on the interior islands where there's a lot more pedestrian flow. And then you have, obviously, at the front entry to the main building, a continuation of 6th Street landscaping into that. Lighting, various lighting across the site, basically pedestrian lighting, overhead lighting, bridge lighting, sidewalk lighting, and then in future phase, we also are looking at lighting for the course, for the competition channel. And then one last rendering looking back across the east bridge, the west bridge, looking to the main building, and then a picture of the overall main building floor plan. Again, 17,000 square feet. Most of it is administrative and restaurant, and then support facilities for lockers, restrooms, and then retail. Renderings of the main building, consistent with the architecture that's already present along the riverfront, metal panels, and then there's a metal shingle on the roof as well. And then as far as schedule, again, this is where I'll kind of expound a little bit. So over the past 30 days, we've basically completed the drawings. They're in for submission for public services, public works, development services, as well as to the State Health Department and Department of Labor. We're expecting review comments back here shortly from all those agencies, where we'll pick those up and finalize the plans. Overlapping that process, we started back, I guess beginning of December, putting out an early procurement package for equipment on the project, primarily pumps for the submersible pumps for the course, filtration device, or filtration systems, as well as a conveyor for the project. And we just received bids for those today. Haven't been able to get through the detail on it, so I can't make any recommendations, but they look good so far, so that's a positive. On the additional bidding, we're looking to have the project out on the street, a pre-bid actually next week to start discussing the project, getting everyone involved in the project, interested, give them some time to actually digest the project and start thinking how to get the project within a reasonable budget. 30 days after that, a second pre-bid, notice to bidders, and then we're out on the street, hopefully having bids in roughly the end of March, and then going through the approval process, and everything going well, hopefully mid-April, we're into construction. And then I'll answer any questions.
Comments from the group?
Wonderful.
It's so exciting, isn't it? It's
I move
just-
approval.
Second.
Second, all righty. This is just an amazingly important milestone. I think for those of us that had the opportunity to travel to Charlotte so many years ago and see that project on the ground and think that there might be some way we could bring it to Oklahoma City, and to have it now about ready to begin construction, it's really exciting, and you all have worked so very hard. Mike, congratulations. I know this has been a dream of yours for a very long time. So this is an exciting day. Dennis?
Yeah, just a couple of timing comments. The item will go to move forward with final plans and specs will go to the MAPS River Subcommittee in February, and the MAPS Advisory Board also in February, and then to City Council for advertisement. And then, as Mr. Justin said, it received bids near the end of March and award a contract.
Great, thank you.
I think we have a motion and a second. I need everybody to cast their votes. And it's unanimous. Very exciting. All right. Item 6 on the agenda is approval of the claims docket. Second. All those in favor, cast your votes. And the claims docket passes unanimously. Comments by staff. Director, would you like to make some comments about your report? I know it was included in the packet, but...
It is in the packet, and just a couple of highlights I might bring to your attention. One is the St. Patrick's event that was being planned for the Riverfront. This year, the determination has been made by the group that was forming it that there simply wasn't enough time this year to pull it off. So we'll probably look to see that come back again next year. Would point out that the river stakeholders meeting will be hosted in the Aero Meridian Hospitality Corridor at the suggestion of Councilman McAtee. Their entire business improvement district and what some of the new hotels are coming online in that area will be the topic and focus. So I think it'll be a very interesting time and a very interesting meeting, particularly given the fact that we have the Eastern Avenue basin drained. There's not a lot happening down there, so it gives us an opportunity to perhaps shed some more light on what's going on the West End. In addition, in that same vein, we do see a new hotel coming up alongside our Meridian Landing development that's being wrapped up, and then the trails. We have one of the sets of river trails underway, and another is very close to being bid, so a lot of progress being made east and west on the river. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to address them. Otherwise, would request that the report be received as submitted.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, please cast your votes. The report is received. That I just might, for the record, make sure everybody knows that that next quarterly meeting is scheduled for March the 5th
Yes, ma'am.
at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, and we will announce the location. It will be one of the hotels in that Arrow Meridian area. We'll probably know something on that, I'm guessing, by the end of this week.
Very good. Thank you very much. Are there comments by any trustees? That's quite all right. It gives me an excuse to not be smooth at this. Wasn't prepared, but I don't apologize for taking your parking space. Are there comments by any citizens? Mike, anything you want to add to this, Ms.?
We're making progress on our zip line project. I get a lot of questions about that, and is being constructed in Michigan right now, and we do anticipate the beginning of the construction in later next month, sometime with an opening, and you can start lobbying who's going to go first in late April, early May. So.
Wonderful. How was Christmas? Were the numbers good for attendance?
Well, the weather, like
was
Bricktown, we work with downtown Oklahoma City, incorporated on our activities, and I think just like the experience, of course, when you're snow tubing, you expect to be in the snow. When you're on the Sky Trail, 60 feet up in the air, maybe not quite as appealing. So we still had a lot, on the nice days we had a lot of people out, but we had to close about 4 of the days that we had planned to be open. But so things are looking good for the spring, though. We're real excited about the upcoming season.
Well, great. I thought the partnership with downtown Oklahoma City was a wonderful idea.
Yeah, I think it's coming along nicely.
I hope that continues. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other citizens wanting to comment? Hearing none, I guess we can adjourn at 1:27. Thank you all very much for being here.